You find yourself lost in Irvingland. Last time, Interplanetary Airlines discovered that one of their passengers brought some overweight luggage on board and didn't pay the extra fee, so they threw the suitcases out in mid-flight, right on top of Penny, Will, and the robot. It's a good thing the robot pushed him out of the way. That thing landed a social distancing span from where Will was standing. The shockwave could have seriously injured him.
Will, Penny, are you all right? Are you all right?
Yeah. If it hadn't been for you, I would have been killed.
I have been programmed to protect others. I only performed as required. Also, you are my friend.
The robot is taking on more and more human characteristics, especially emotions. He feels a strong kinship with the family, and he gets angry and annoyed at Dr. Smith. He's been able to laugh since early in the first season. Much like Verta, he's going way beyond his programming, and he's just getting a good momentum going. Since that trunk almost killed Will, they may as well see what's in it.
Cards, dice. I've never seen so many gambling things. I wonder who they belong to. Over there.
It probably belongs to the guy with the bump on his head. The robot detects that he's not seriously injured.
Are you all right?
Oh, we're fine, sir. But I'm not too sure about him.
We saw the spaceship as it passed overhead.
He must have parachuted out of it. All these things must belong to him.
The next really important question to ask would be why, but they'll try to make sure he's all right first.
Well, at least he looks pleasant enough. Not like some horrible growling monster.
No.
What's wrong, Dr. Smith?
Oh, no! It can't be. It mustn't be. He's alive!
Okay, maybe he is a horrible growling monster once he wakes up.
Who are you, sir?
Have no fear, my good people. Jeremiah Smith is here.
No, he's worse than a horrible growling monster. He's another Smith.
Colonel Jeremiah Beauregard Smith, in point of fact, my dear, though you must call me Jeremiah.
Well, I will. We have a Dr. Smith with us.
Yes, indeed. A very common, though distinguished name throughout the galaxy. Virtually none of them belong to my particular branch of the family, however.
This guy is raising every hackle I ever had. A bunch of gambling equipment, his sudden departure from that spaceship, and then there's this.
Well, from what you tell us, Colonel, you do a great deal of moving about.
I'm an extensive traveler, you might say, Major. I'm a citizen of the universe, ever in quest of new sights and sensations.
Why do I get the feeling I'm looking at the Irwin Allen version of Professor Harold Hill? This guy is so oily I need to take a shower just from listening to him. Dr. Smith refuses to be anywhere near him.
You still haven't explained, Colonel, how you happened to end up on this planet.
Well, it wasn't exactly an accident. You see, I heard there were Earth people on this planet, and being homesick for the faces of my own kind, I arranged to pay you a little visit.
As a matter of fact, I had the entire Pacific Ocean transferred here with me so you'd have a little bit of home out here. It's about 100 yards that way.
Well, Will saw your arrival through his binoculars. He said that the way that your trunks and suitcases came flying out of the spaceship, it really looked as though they'd been thrown overboard.
What an extraordinary imagination!
I wonder what could have given him that impression. It's bedtime. The Colonel will sleep out under the stars.
Oh, dear. Oh.
I guess they all will. Everybody's awake and checking on each other.
Oh, dear. I shall never survive this excitement. Never. My heart. Oh!
Something wrong?
Go away!
What a strange fella he is.
Well, everybody's awake. There's no actual fire, it's just smoke, coming from where we never learn.
There you go. There's a fire on the Jupiter, too.
A fire? Why, you know, I thought I heard an alarm of some sort.
Tone it down, please. The intensity of your concern is overwhelming.
Is the fire out?
wasn't any. Just a lot of smoke.
The release valve in one of the compression units must have slipped.
I thought you checked those out a couple of days ago.
I did it.
You know, something told me there wasn't anything serious going on.
By the way, Colonel, where's that big trunk of yours with all the gadgets in it, and how many smoke bombs do you have left? This guy is so greasy you could hold him upside down and fill your deep fryer with what comes off him. John and Don are going to look for Dr. Smith while everyone else goes back to bed.
Professor Robinson, I find that I have mislaid my sleeping bag. Until Dr. Smith returns, I wonder, would you have any objection by using his quarters?
Well, I don't have any objections, but Dr. Smith might.
Oh, I'm sure he would.
How do you know that?
Why, Major West, because blood is thicker than water. And Zachary and I are cousins.
Cousins?
Why, yes, we were kissing cousins back when we were little until somebody explained to us that girls were more fun than each other. He is making my skin crawl. They're all just going with it. I guess being around Dr. Smith for so long has lowered their sensitivity to slime. And blood or not, the way Dr. Smith is reacting to his dear cousin is enough to make me say, no, you go out there and ask him first. Next morning, Maureen is doing the breakfast dishes. The clothes washer is way more efficient. It folds the clothes and wraps them in plastic. All this thing does is get the dishes clean. All of them. In 5 seconds or less. Never mind. Where can I buy one of those? They couldn't find Dr. Smith, but Jeremiah is up and ready to face the day. John says, why didn't you tell us you and Dr. Smith were related?
Well, now, Professor, I guess I may as well confide in you. The fact is, Zachary and I had a difference of opinion some years ago, trifling matter, but he never forgave me. And I was reluctant to reveal our relationship until I was sure how he was going to receive me.
Reading between those lines, that means you knew he was on this planet and you came here deliberately. What do you want from him?
By the way, Colonel, Don and I are installing a new transistor unit in the spaceship. We could use some help.
How I would so admire to give you assistance. But unfortunately, my parachute drop yesterday agitated an old spinal injury.
Oh, really? Well, your cousin has back trouble, too.
Yes, unfortunately, it's an hereditary characteristic of the entire family.
Of course.
Keep in mind, work is a 4-letter word to that family. Off he goes with a little spring in his step and full of something I don't say out loud on this channel.
I bet you can't wait to talk to your cousin.
You are so right. I look forward to our meeting with the greatest anticipation.
I don't know why that doesn't surprise me.
You sure are a lot like your cousin, sir.
Well, of course, we spent a great deal of time together as children, although I must confess I was always vastly the more intelligent of the two.
I was also the much better kisser, and he never would admit that either.
I'm glad you're here now. Dr. Smith needs family around him.
Yes, he does indeed, and there are very few of us Smiths left, you know. As a matter of fact, Zachary and I are the last of our illustrious line.
The good news about that is, so far, no woman has been gullible enough to let either of them reproduce. The robot has found Dr. Smith, and he's been ordered to make sure Jeremiah stays far away from him.
I have computed Dr. Smith's attitude toward his cousin. It consists of suspicion, distrust, contempt, repugnance, and extreme fear.
Utter nonsense! Take me to him at once, I demand it. I insist.
My answer is negative.
He'll have to find another way. Fortunately, the family is packing a care basket for Dr. Smith, and Maureen just made a nice, delicious cream pie. Dr. Smith's favorite. Jeremiah says, "May I take it as a peace offering to my cousin?" As if she's going to refuse a request like that.
Not yet, you fool. We're gonna just tuck you under there.
The robot is suspicious, but Will puts the pie in the basket and he and the robot head off to deliver the goodies to Dr. Smith.
Now, ladies, we have here an ordinary deck of playing cards. Let's just see if we can't teach them a few little tricks. Watch closely. Remember, the hand is quicker than the eye.
He entertains them with a few tricks, then brings out the cups and ball. Several years ago, Penn and Teller set out to track down the origins of this trick, and they discovered that clear back in ancient Egypt, beyond biblical times, someone was doing the cups and balls trick. That says two things. One, a well-done trick like this will endure as long as people feel like learning to do it. Two, humans never stop falling for the same old tricks. Our little band of castaways is no exception.
Round and round we go. And where is the little red ball, you tell me?
The middle one.
Right you are. I told you I was an amateur.
He does a couple more that are really easy. Then he says, how about we add a little wager just to make it interesting?
Well, well, what have we here, Colonel?
Looks like the Colonel's playing that old childhood game. Button, who's got the button?
Where do you think it is, Dad?
Yes, let's have the professor decide. And whatever you decide, Professor, I'm gonna bet you wrong.
You think so, huh?
It's under the right-hand cone. I saw it.
No, darling. It's in his hand. I saw it, too. Colonel?
Oh, shucks.
He just told Maureen it's not dishonest the way he plays it. He may wish to revise that statement. The robot arrives and says, I delivered your pie and he gave me a message for you.
He also sent you back this. Feet, do your stuff.
Well, now, whatever in the world could be in here?
He really didn't expect that? Naturally, he tells the family that dear cousin Zachary tried to kill him, and they have no reason not to believe him. At least they don't think so. I have many questions, such as, where would Dr. Smith get his hands on a time bomb? But Jeremiah is adept enough at keeping people off balance that they don't think of things like that. Fortunately, the robot is fairly immune to his non-stop babble.
There is an explanation. It all goes back to Great Aunt Maud Smith and started many, many long years ago.
Dr. Smith never mentioned any of his relatives to me.
This information was revealed when Dr. Smith was dictating his memoirs to me a few months ago.
Just who is Great Aunt Maud?
She was the matriarch of the Smith clan. Rich, arrogant, untrustworthy. A true Smith.
The picture is starting to take shape.
Her last will and testament provided that the sole surviving Smith would receive her entire fortune.
Millions.
Sole surviving heir.
Wait, this woman set it up in her will so that the surviving members of her family would basically do a Hunger Games and try to wipe each other out until there was only one left? I don't see how an insane will like that would ever stand up in court. But it's obvious neither of these two clowns tried court. They went straight to murder. Will protests that Dr. Smith is no murderer. I repeat, ask how he got his hands on explosives and a timer. Ask how he built a time bomb small enough to fit in a pie. This is Dr. Smith we're talking about. Does he even know how to make a time bomb?
One thing still puzzles me. Why did he run away?
Well, that was a trick. Knowing my affection for him, he knew I'd follow. So he thought when he got me alone, he'd...
Like any good snake oil salesman, he has an answer for everything.
No. Somehow this still doesn't add up.
Not necessarily a good answer, but he's always got an answer. Jeremiah gets on a radio and calls somebody to request a gambling machine.
Forget it, Smith, and don't call me again. I'm a busy man.
That could have gone better. What's plan B?
I'm gonna ask Dr. Smith if he put a bomb in that pie. He'll tell me the truth.
It is my opinion neither Dr. Smith nor his cousin is overly honest. Warning! Danger!
Where? What is it?
You may come from behind those rocks, Colonel Smith.
He's been following them. What is it with these Smith boys and stowing away in places they're not wanted?
I have made a decision. I have decided to renounce my claim to Auntie Maud's fortune. Zachary can just have it all.
That's very nice of you.
My cousin's friendship means more to me than all the gold in the universe.
Yeah, and nothing says I want peace in the family like doing that. But this clan seems to have some kind of magical influence over Will, so he says, come on along.
Dr. Smith has taken refuge in a cave, just beyond those rocks ahead.
Yeah. So now we finally gonna meet at last. Well, I can hardly wait.
Dr. Smith! Dr. Smith! You have visitors!
You idiot! You want to ruin everything.
Can Will see the way Jeremiah is fiddling with that gun? Dr. Smith comes out into the open.
Cousin,
Jeremiah!
so now I got you.
Please don't kill Jeremiah! Jeremiah, please don't Jeremiah!
And you, cousin.
Another good question, who dug the hole for him? You know Zachary Smith wouldn't do that much manual labor. And since it flew out of Jeremiah's hand, why didn't he take the gun while he was at it? Jeremiah is banged up but alive. John says, enough of this.
Professor Robinson, you are leading me to my grave. Who knows what that fiendish cousin of mine might be planning on next, huh?
We are going to bury the hatchet.
A peaceful solution has already been attempted. As I remember, there were 10 of us cousins alive at that time.
Oh, what happened?
What happened? I can only tell you it made the St. Valentine's Day massacre look like a tea party.
So it is the Hunger Games, and that was the bloodbath at the cornucopia. Great Aunt Maudie wasn't just mean, she was evil. Why would someone do this to their family? John drags Jeremiah to Dr. Smith's cave and calls him out. He says, we're going to have a peace conference and resolve this.
Very well, Professor, you may release me. So, Jeremiah, at long last we stand face to face.
That's right. You put on a little weight, haven't you, cuz? A lot of gray hair, too.
And you, dear cuz, have never been a prize package. You have aged considerably.
I'll bet you don't kiss all that well anymore either. They trade a few barbs, and then John says this is about Great Aunt Maud's will.
She always meant to leave her fortune to me.
That's a lie. I was always her favorite nephew.
She always meant to leave her money to me. After all, who was at her bedside then?
You were. You were. The old lady'd still be alive if it wasn't for you. I wouldn't be a bit surprised if there wasn't a little foul play involved.
Are you accusing me? You gave her the medicine, remember? And right after that, she had the relapse?
Why do I get the feeling they were both in on it?
I've got it your nose, and I can do that again.
I wanted to do this for years.
I'll get him
That solved nothing. Jeremiah calls his gambling friend Little Joe again.
Well, now, here's the thing. I am due to inherit a great deal of money. Unfortunately, however, my cousin is an obstacle.
You know the Gamblers Union doesn't allow us to knock anybody off.
Unless he refuses to pay off on an honest gambling debt.
That's a different situation.
He says, you send me a gambling machine. My cousin is a compulsive gambler. He gets in way over his head, he can't pay, you bump him off, I get my inheritance, and we both win. Little Joe agrees.
Place your bets. Place your bets, gentlemen.
I must be hearing things.
Place your bets. Place your bets, gentlemen. Place your bets, gentlemen. You may be a lucky winner. A winner!
Jeremiah is outside playing the gambling machine and winning money so fast he can't keep track of all of it.
Jeremiah, can I play too?
Why, sure, just sit right down, make yourself comfortable.
But I don't have any money.
Oh, well. Your credit's good.
It is? Oh, lovely.
His credit may be good, but his judgment is sorely lacking. Soon enough, the inevitable happens.
You lose.
Well, now, how about that? We lost. Well, it's kind of nice for just variety.
I don't like it.
Well, we won't lose much, I don't suppose.
We had better not, Jeremiah.
That's the point where you take your winnings and walk away. I've had one memorable gambling experience. Like Dr. Smith, I wound up losing. Unlike Dr. Smith, I only took as much money with me as I was willing to lose, and when it was gone, I walked away. But I also wasn't playing on credit like Dr. Smith.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. You reached the end of your credit.
No! One more time. You've got to give us a chance to get even.
He says, I'm part owner in his spaceship, I'll bet that. The machine accepts his word without checking anything, though we know Smith owns squat from that spaceship. He's a stowaway. Of course he loses. He and Jeremiah bet their inheritance and lose again.
Do you wish to continue playing, gentlemen?
Oh, no. We have had it.
Then you must settle your account.
Oh. I'm afraid you'll have to wait just for a little while. You see, we do not get Aunt Maud's money until only one Smith is left. And that will be a long time from now.
That's right. There's still two of us, and we both healthy.
Is Dr. Smith really that oblivious? Do I even need to ask?
What are you doing?
Since I cannot collect my money while both of you are alive, one of you must be eliminated.
Yeah, but not me, him. We made a deal, remember?
Jeremiah, you're a beast.
The thing keeps pointing at Jeremiah. He keeps saying, "Call Little Joe. He'll tell you which one to shoot." I have a feeling Little Joe doesn't care because he's never met Zachary and he'd just as soon not get any more calls from Jeremiah.
No, don't leave me.
Then I shall eliminate you.
No. I'll pay. Just spare me, please. Yeah. Jeremiah. Yeah. Jeremiah, I'm stuck. Yes, help me, Jeremiah.
Dr. Smith manages to rip loose from the chair, and the two of them are now running from a giant gambling machine. How many times in your life do you get to say something like that?
You just wait, I'll take care of it now.
When nobody's gambling, it moonlights as a road smoother. It follows them to the Jupiter 2 where they sort of jumblingly explain what's going on. John says there has to be a way to resolve this without killing one of them.
I am not programmed to resolve anything, only to gamble, forcibly collect, or destroy those refusing to pay up.
All right. Would you be willing to gamble against me?
Your friendly universal gambling machine is always ready to accept any kind of action.
John says, "Fine, I'll wager the rest of the spaceship against their debts." The machine says, "You have a deal. Pick your number."
I don't think I care for those odds. Playing against the computer in its own game. Perhaps this time we'll try my game.
Nothing was said of this in your wager.
You said you'd take any kind of action.
Nice job of using its own words against it, Professor. You may be able to guess what his game is.
Now, it's really very simple. I have in my right hand 3 cups. In my left, a little ball.
Give yourself 1 point if you figured it out before the clip. Drop it to 3/4 of a point if you've seen the episode and remembered.
All right. Take your pick.
The ball rests under the center cut.
Are you sure?
That is my decision.
Well, let's find out.
Oh, we're saved! Saved!
He didn't even say goodbye or congratulations. How rude. So where is the ball?
Then it must be under the last one.
Of course it's under the last one. Where else would it be?
If he was really that good, he'd have slipped the ball back under that one and shown it. But he's having too much fun letting them think whatever they want to.
I don't believe it. I don't believe there was any ball under any shell.
How dare you make such an accusation against me, sir?
He's right. You cheated.
You say I did, I say I didn't. Let's leave it at that.
We will never know. We will also never know what happened to Jeremiah because after the next commercial break, he's just gone.
Help! Oh, I never thought I'd make it. You may thank your lucky stars I survived. It was awful.
What was awful?
Space monsters out there, positively dreadful. I escaped only with the skin of my teeth.
Okay, I'll bite. Why is he inventing space monsters?
Ah, my favorite comestible. How thoughtful. Space ragu with mushrooms.
It appears to me, sir, that you deliberately moved that platter out of my reach.
Well, it appears to me that you were sent to bring in a cart of cobalt off of the rocket tubes. Now, where is it?
I told you there were space monsters out there.
Correction. There were no space monsters. I was observing Dr. Smith. He was sleeping.
John says, "I'm laying down the law. No more tales about space monsters and no food until you finish that job."
Very well, Professor. I accept your ultimatum. Rather than turn myself into a beast of burden, I shall die of starvation. Ah! No, don't try to dissuade me. The die is cast. As of this very moment, I'm on a hunger strike to the bitter end.
And we all know that his iron resolve cannot be bent or broken.
But before I begin, you surely wouldn't begrudge me just one little crust of bread, would you?
Go get the ore.
It can, however, be slapped on the hand. Next thing we know, he's gathering ore into a mine car on a track. I quit asking a long time ago.
A man of my quality being forced into hard labor, indeed.
I brought you my dessert.
Oh, bless you, my boy, bless you.
And Will can't help himself. As I said, the Smith clan seems to have some kind of power over him.
Some kind of spaceship. Over there.
We're being invaded.
No, it's just Jeremiah's latest attempt to collect the inheritance. Speaking of Jeremiah, what the what, writers? He comes out of nowhere, gets thrown out of a ship, and lands on an apparently random planet where his long-lost cousin just happens to be, but later he gives hints that he came here deliberately, then he just disappears. It's too much. If his goal in life is to eliminate Zachary and inherit all that money, why has he been bopping around in space for who knows how long? How did he get into space to begin with? How did he know Zachary was here? Nobody on Earth knows what happened to Dr. Smith. As far as they know, he just disappeared. Nobody knows he's on the Jupiter too. So how did Jeremiah find him? And if he's built a life hopping from planet to planet swindling people, why did Jeremiah find him? It seems like an awful lot of work and a big disruption of his life to do this. There are too many holes in the story. It lost me pretty much from the beginning. On the plus side, Henry Jones clearly had a ball overplaying Colonel Jeremiah Smith. He overplayed just enough to make the character enjoyably disgusting, and you want to see him get some kind of comeuppance, but it won't happen. Like every other weird character who's landed on this planet or the previous one, he's there and then he's gone and forgotten. And with him, we don't even get to see how he left. He didn't have a ship, remember? He parachuted to the ground. How'd he get back up? I have to admit, despite how much fun Henry Jones was to watch, this was the worst episode I've seen so far. Emphasis on so far. I'll see you next time you find yourself lost in Irvingland.